Why is it that Europe, with a centuries head start on the United States, has fallen so far behind in economic development? Now, a lot of people are obviously going to point to World War II and say, look, Europe was almost completely destroyed. Of course it's behind. But keep in mind, 15 years after the war ended, Europe accounted for 36% of global GDP, and now it's just 15%. What's more, Europe was largely rebuilt in part thanks to financial support from America itself. The U.S. actually supplied billions in aid through the Marshall Plan for Europe in the late 40s and 50s. And even today, America still subsidizes Europe's defense spending by supplying more than 70% of NATO's overall funding. Now, despite all of this support, Europe hasn't capitalized on these advantages. Instead of fostering growth, it built layers of bureaucracy that have weighed down innovation. So much so that over the last decade, productivity in the EU grew by only 5% compared to 22% in the United States. So, if America helped rebuild Europe and pays for most of the continent's military defense, how could Europe still be falling behind the US economically? And the answer is actually pretty simple. Europe is being crippled by a combination of overregulation, insanely high taxes, and an anti-entrepreneurial culture that has turned the EU into a hostile environment for innovation. And to give you an idea of just how bad the situation truly is, it can take you anywhere from 18 to 24 months just to start a business in the EU. And even after you've started it, you're still going to deal with about 27 different regulatory regimes. In the US, it's one market, one system, and it can take about a month to two to get started. So, what can be done in order to turn the ship around for the EU? Well, some Europeans seem to be waking up. There are proposals to streamline the regulatory framework and make it much easier to start a business rather than the current system, which punishes innovation and success. But the problem is there's still too many voices within the European Parliament and each member nation that believe prosperity comes from central planning and more political involvement. But prosperity doesn't come from politicians. It comes from people. Innovation, growth, and opportunity thrive in environments where individuals are free to build, create, and take risks without being constantly strangled by red tape. And until Europe shifts away from its obsession with centralized control and high taxation, it will continue to drive talent and capital elsewhere. By the way, as long as you want to drive that talent and capital elsewhere, the United States doesn't mind taking it.